the people of India. Having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, give to ourselves this constitution.
The preamble to the Constitution of India is something every school-going child knows by heart. 85 words that define the spirit of our democracy. Every word very carefully chosen by the nation's first Law Minister, Bhimrao Ambedkar. He's the man who was the chief architect of our Constitution, also the Dalit icon who gave millions a voice against discrimination. But his story is much, much more than that. And it all begins really in this small school in Satara. Books in hand, 9-year-old Bhim walked into Maharaja Pratap Singh High School in the year 1900. But for the man who authored India's finest piece of writing, his baby steps in learning were a travesty. His first lesson was the existence of caste. Bhim was a Mahar, a caste of untouchables whose traditional duty was to dispose of dead cattle. Banished to the bottom of the Hindu society, their touch, their voice, even their shadow was seen to be polluting. Inside school, Brahmin teachers refused to teach little Bhimrao. Some agreed, but made him and his brother sit in a corner on gunny bags that they carried from home. The humiliation was endless. If the boys got thirsty, they had to wait for a peon to come in and pour water into their mouth, because outcasts weren't allowed to touch either the water pot or the water inside it. And God forbid, if the peon was absent, then the boys would go thirsty the entire day without a single drop of water. Young Bhim responded in the best way he could. His sheer academic brilliance won him grudging admiration and a new surname.
कहा जाता है कि इसी स्कूल में उनको अंबेडकर, यह जो नाम है पहले अंबावडेकर था, इसी स्कूल के जो अध्यापक थे उन्होंने उन्हें अंबेडकर यह नाम इसी स्कूल में दिया.
But a new surname didn't help. When Ambedkar's family moved to Bombay, the prestigious Elphinstone High School did admit young Bhim, but did not let him learn Sanskrit. The language of the ancient Vedas could not be polluted. He was forced to study Persian instead.
Turn in any direction you like. Caste is the monster that crosses your path. You cannot have political reform, you cannot have economic reform, unless you kill this monster. In 1907, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar became the first person from his community to get a matriculation from the Elphinstone School. It was an uncommon achievement, but what followed even more so. After getting a scholarship from the King of Baroda, he chose not to sail to England, as was the trend in those days, but to go instead to America for higher education. It was the land of equality and liberty. Columbia University opened up a new world for Ambedkar, a world of books and of new ideas. A man of versatile intellect, he first obtained a doctorate in social sciences and then moved to London to study law and economics. Ambedkar would go on to author over 50 books. Caste was his favorite subject, but he also wrote about economics, law, even a work that controversially supported partition.
He was a legal brain, a constitutional brain, a top-class economist. He also wrote some important works in sociology of the caste system, the most well-qualified intellectually of any Indian politician of the 20th century, probably ever.
Dr. Ambedkar, Maharaja is expecting you. Please.
From England, Dr. Ambedkar returned to work for his benefactor, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, who was the ruler of Baroda.
Sir, I need a place to stay.
You can't stay.
Only to realize that all the degrees in the world couldn't get him a room to stay. At work too, he faced insults almost every day.
Look here, you might be a senior officer, but you can't touch this water.
You could see the shine on his face of intelligence with all that he came. But a small office, his core people, like, they were mere simple clerks, they were high caste. They said that you can't take water from the same pot as we drink. But if you see very carefully, the revolt comes first there. He says, no, I will drink water from the